Well, how are
And
you doing?
Teresa, I will say I'll be briefer.
Oh, that's fine.
I can be long-winded.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people can. So, how did this opportunity to direct come about for you?
A dear friend and producing partner, Jamie McCoy, called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing it. Sent me a couple scripts. The second one that I read, I liked it, and I said, "Yeah, please." Um, and I asked, uh, what did she want from this? And she really was someone who believed in the story and wanted her story told, Miss Cleo's story. So it was Jamie who was the force behind it that brought us all together, and other producers, and actors, and he was the one who thought that Robin, Lady of Rage, would be perfect for it. I knew her as a performer, but didn't know her as an actress. She knew she wanted Shane, and she wanted Ian, all these people she had in her mind,
Hmm.
and she wanted me to direct. So we got together, and I brought a few people with me, and we hunkered down into limited amount of time, limited amount of money, and say, what can we do with this story? And it was a battle, and it was fun. It was the more difficult it became, the more we took to heart the purpose of what we were doing, the story being told, because we
Well,
wanted to tell it in a way that people really would not know.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I knew who Miss Cleo was vaguely from the TV commercials back then, but not much else. So
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
informative. You directed, you were talking about the problems with the movie and challenges. What can
Oh,
you?
challenge. All movies have them,
Right, right.
and a lot of the times, most likely for TV movies, it's time you have, you're allotted based on the budget you have. And rarely do you get the kind of freedom, unless you have a big name, you get the kind of freedom that you can dictate time and get enough money to do it. These independent productions are very difficult and very rewarding when they work, frustrating when they don't. Excuses. Nobody looks at the movie and says, "I want to hear the excuse why that scene didn't work." Nobody does.
No,
So
yeah.
you have to swallow that and just say, "No, this is not about. This is about making the story, the
Right.
work
Well,
by finding the little things in it."
I'm sure that every director, like any kind of artist, is a bit of a perfectionist. You always see the flaws in what you did, and you just have to sort of let it
Mhm.
go. Otherwise, you
Well,
spend
see,
your
the
life.
thing is, you're right. I'm an artist as well. I sculpt, and you have control over the image at all times.
Mhm.
You have control, and you can have the amount of time. But in a film, a television produced film, you don't have any control over the time or the budget. You accept the budget. This is what we have to work with, and what we know is going to happen, because that's the nature of our business. There will be trouble.
Mhm.
There will be problems. There will be frustrations, because you don't have the freedom to sit down and think. You have to act quickly.
Right.
You get to a location, and the location doesn't work, or they say, no, you can't come in. You still got to shoot the scene. Now, if you delay, you stretch the time. So we have to figure out how to get this scene done either somewhere else or right now, and tell this story. So those are the kind of frustrations that work in all movies, no matter the budget.
Mhm.
But we don't have the freedom to sit back and talk about it. We have to do. And if you have the right crew and the right cast that believe in the story, as we did, and the right producers who are going to cover your back, because you don't even have time to go and discuss it. You
Right.
got to keep moving, because you got a crew waiting that are getting paid, and you got to keep going. So you got to have a producer who understands, and rather than tell you make it work, that they
Yeah.
have to work with you. And I
Right.
think that's what made this movie work against all the difficulties that come in making movies. um, we were able to keep going. People
Right.
believed in the story. Miss Cleo's story is certainly one of a kind. I mean,
Right.
this is a
Yeah.
woman who revolutionized television, reality television. She revolutionized it, and made billions for other people.
Right.
And she died penniless, and she died tragically And yet she influenced so many people, millions and millions of people. So we
Yeah,
hope to tell the story. It's not a downer. It's a real
right.
interesting story
It
about
is.
the rise and the fall of people in our business
Yeah,
in their various ways.
and even though the main part took place a while ago, it's still very relevant for today. And I liked how, I don't know if it was more the script or you doing it, how the message of how she was being treated as a Black woman was not
Hmm.
like, you didn't hit, we weren't hit over the head with it, but it was definitely there and everyone could see it. So that was good.
Yeah. But see, also, she charted her course. I
Mhm.
mean, she
Yeah.
made some very, well, it wasn't a finest hour decisions a few times. And yet she survived that. You
Mhm.
know, she worked through it even against her family members and people who didn't want her to do.
Sure.
She kept making it happen. And I think the respect that people have for her once they see the movie and
Right.
once you get a reality check on what she was really and who she was dealing with, that she maintained the power. The actress who did it, Robin, Lady of Rage, as she's known in the music business, she really was more flexible than I thought she would be in terms of stepping into the situation of this character. I mean, she was certainly a better actor than I thought because I hadn't seen her act anywhere,
Right.
but she somehow channeled that emotion and that feeling and the irony of what was happening to her in a way that just made it
Yeah.
delightful for me to direct
It
her.
was all right there in her face, and
It was in her
did
face.
a great
Yeah,
job with it.
she
Um,
really did.
and also it's the story of a single mother trying to do things for her children.
Yeah,
That's universal, right? I mean, everybody knows
yeah.
people that have that problem. And
And being a parent, by the way, and having to be a parent through it,
yeah, exactly.
having to control the children.
You've directed some movies before. What made this one different?
Well, I think, well, first, the fact that we were telling a female story. We were telling a story about a Black woman. I was raised by Black women from, I mean, broken home and different places and different heads of the house where we were women. And I have a healthy respect for women, especially women who raise children on their own, as my mother started out doing until she couldn't. Uh, and there's something in all of us, good or bad, who go through that experience that make us the men that we are. And I don't think the women of that irony get enough credit. I mean, there should be. We have Mother's Day. It should be a Grandma's Day. So many of us were raised by grandmothers and are the same today. There's a certain way of looking at life that these women taught me. And when I read the script, I knew Miss Cleo. I mean, she wasn't called Miss Cleo in my neighborhood, but I knew women who had a tough life and who wanted to not only survive, but take care the best they could of the people that they love. And my mother was one of them. My aunt was one of them. My grandmother was one of them. And I have a healthy respect for those women.
And
And I have a healthy respect for what happened to Miss Cleo.
before you read the script, how much did you know about Miss Cleo?
Only the surface, only what America knew, what we saw. I knew it was bogus, what she was doing, but it was very entertaining.
Yeah.
And millions of people called in, and millions of people lost money. But there are a few people who listened to her and followed her and actually changed their life.
Ah,
So it's a double-edged sword. And
sure.
but I found her entertaining, and she built an industry of people doing that. It was, she
Right.
started it, and they made billions. She didn't, but they did, and
And
they're
so,
still making money.
did you have any involvement in the casting? How much
No, I
involvement
didn't.
you didn't?
I didn't, and I didn't want to. I mean, because this was the vision of Jamie McCoy. When she came to me and asked me if I would be interested in doing it, I had worked with her on a few other projects, and I had even directed a film for her. And I went, okay, this is really interesting. This is a different kind of film. I haven't done one quite like this.
Mm,
And I've done period pieces, I've done
sure.
all kinds of things, but I hadn't done anything quite like this. So it was intriguing to me, and I was very happy that she called me.
So how did it work out that your wife was playing Miss Cleo's mom?
Well, she she
Mm.
and Jamie, I met Jamie through my wife because
Oh,
Daphne starred in a movie with Jamie a few years prior. It was a Christmas movie. And then they did a sequel to it, and Jamie asked me to direct. And my wife was in that as well. So when, she has a crew of actors around her that are in a lot of her movies. I mean, she does quite a few movies and TV movies, and she calls on them, and it's smart. I mean, she's built
sure.
a nice group of people to work with, producers and directors and camera people, and she gives people jobs like myself. I mean, you know, no one else called me that week. She did, and now I get to not only direct but enjoy the success of this film.
And so are you pretty used to directing your wife now? Have you've done it enough that it's very comfortable or?
It I wouldn't say it's comfortable, but we've known each other, been married 40 years.
Mhm.
We've known each other so well that we have an inner conversation, an inner voice on the set, amazing respect for each other's work, not only work, but each other on the set. I mean, we don't let the marriage life be part of, I don't direct her like her husband. I direct her like a director.
That's good.
And she doesn't come at me like an actress. She comes at me, I mean, as a wife, she comes at me as an actress, and we work it out, and we don't take it home, uh, which is rare,
Yeah.
but it works when it hasn't worked all the time. I mean, some of the series that we worked together on, we worked on a lot of series together, and I swore that I wouldn't work with her again,
Oh.
and and so when we did a show for Showtime called Links, one of my favorite
Right. That's a
shows.
great
It
show.
was really, yeah, it was really fun because
It's
we
on
we
YouTube now,
well,
by the way. I saw it on YouTube.
you got to be kidding me. Links
No,
is on YouTube?
yeah, well, I don't know if all of them are, but fans have uploaded
Yeah.
quite
Huh.
a few episodes.
Wow. I'm going to sue everybody. But anyway, I wasn't going to cast her in the show, but my producing partner, Susan Susan Fales Hill, I should say. She wanted Daphne to play an aging prostitute and who hung out at the bar. And I was like, I don't know. And she said, come on, get out of here. She's going to do it. So I shut up. She did it. And it was one of the better roles she's ever done. She was so good in it.
Is
And
it?
I'm glad that I didn't hire her, Susan did,
Wow,
but it
that
was
was
the
a great show.
right
I loved
choice. Yeah,
it.
yeah, right choice.
I interviewed you in 2020. You probably don't remember, but we talked about it then, and you were hoping that it would
Oh, okay.
go on streaming, and that's why I went looking for it to see if it was on streaming. Yeah, but it's just on YouTube for me.
No, we we did 30 something episodes,
Yeah.
so it's a little longer than most of those shows I did, like Frank's Place. But um, I wanted to revive it
Mhm.
not too long ago, but couldn't get people. Well, yeah, Black Republican, after they like okay, and we went very far. We crossed the line several times on that show. We had some subject matters that
I recall, yeah.
you couldn't do today.
I don't
You
know.
would take on so much.
I think you could if you had maybe if you had bigger
Mm.
names, doing it. I don't know.
Well, I couldn't have any bigger name than Pam Grier, George
Well,
Stanford, Brown.
well, like
We
for
had some
instance,
all the oh
if
yeah.
Denzel wanted to do it, that kind of thing, like really big names,
Yeah,
somebody
no,
like
no,
that, or
no.
Jamie
This
Foxx, maybe. I
we
don't
were yeah.
know.
They would be afraid to do some of the things we did. That's for sure.
So, have you worked with any of the other cast or crew before besides the ones you mentioned?
Oh yeah, yeah. We see each other occasionally, and I try as I direct or have a project. I ask if they want to be a part of it, and they'll come in and do cameos. We had Johnny Cochran in 3 episodes because he was a friend, and He
No, I
liked
mean,
the show.
in the
And
movie, in this movie.
oh, in this movie. Oh,
Sorry,
no,
I
no,
got
no.
off track here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, the actors in this movie, most of them I had not known before.
Oh, okay.
And like Shane and Ian, I knew of their work.
Mhm.
And Robin, I didn't know. But I would work with them anytime, anywhere. They were very, very giving actors, and they were on it. I mean, they really,
Yeah.
it's this great thing. I guess it was, who was it that said it? Either Cagney was giving some lessons to an actor. He said, "What the best thing?" And he said, "Know your lines and don't bump into furniture." So
Sound good, yeah.
not only did they know their lines, they didn't bump into furniture, but they were there. They were in character.
That's
It
good,
was
yeah.
it was the actors were, when I say easy, not easy, but were the most comfortable
Mhm.
and giving part of the whole production, believe it or not. The other things where all the issues and difficulties came out of the lack of money and time
Production and yeah,
and yeah, production, yeah. But the actors, the
that's
crew
good.
was there.
That's good.
So
Anything else that you want to tell us about the movie or making it?
well, I think it's going to be interesting, as someone said, to see what social media says after the movie,
Mm-hmm.
because the movie is shows a side of her and Black life that most people never see, because most of the material written about Black life from the early 60s or late 50s from Amos and Andy and that were all written by white people
Yeah,
until recently.
right.
So the life that we have been known to live is nothing like the life that we lived.
You
And
don't
so
think
this is
with
truth.
Tyler Perry and BET and all that it's and other
I
networks?
said recently, I'm saying what we're talking, that's only what, 10, 20 years, not even that much, not
30,
20, 10.
30 years ago.
Tyler Perry wasn't
Not
making
Tyler
movies
Perry,
30
but
years.
BET
Uh,
and
BET never really paid much attention to at
oh
that time, to the cultural aspect, because they were in trying to get an audience, and they had to do what the audience was useful. Shows like Frank's Place and Links were counter to what the audience were used to seeing.
yeah.
And so it was very difficult. We fought tooth and nail just to stay on the air, to get every episode just about in Frank's Place. We had to go in and fight with the network to even do it.
Mhm. And that's
Some
Showtime,
episodes
right?
think
So you would think
no,
they
no.
would,
Well,
oh,
Frank's
not
Place
Frank's
was
Place, but
CBS.
please.
Yeah, but it was my deficit people were Viacom. And same thing when I did a series based on The Thin Man, Nick and Nora Childs, called Snoops. People thought I was insane. Well, really, you Black people. I mean, I had a matter of fact, one of the reviews in the Washington Post was saying, "I dare him do this. This is not, they've got the nerve to put this out at a time when Black people are starving and not working." I'm going like, what? He took me to task because I had the nerve to put a Black man in a tuxedo and shoot his cuffs.
That's crazy. Well,
So,
they
I
did
mean, this
have
wasn't that long ago.
they had a daytime soap, Generations, I don't remember exactly what the years were. It was
No.
in the 90s. And I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't, it was a mixture, but now they're coming out with a new a black daytime soap for CBS. Have you heard
Yeah.
about that?
No, I haven't. But again, let's go back to
Yeah.
the 90s up to the 20s. All these shows were written by white people.
Yeah, well, this
We
one's
had
gonna
I
be,
was one of
yeah, I know
yeah,
Generation
this one is
is
different.
not,
I'm
yeah.
just saying the view
No,
of
you're
us,
right.
the
You're
view what
right.
everybody lives off of
Right.
was dictated to us. And I mean, when I became a member of the Writers Guild in 78, I don't think there were more than 10 or 12 Black writers, not
Wow.
even 12, 10.
That's
And it was rare to have for a Black writer to get an opportunity. One or two would give a script, but there no showrunners. Good
right.
Times, What's That? None of those
Yeah.
showrunners were Black. Even Sister Sister, I think we started with maybe one or two Black writers. Then towards the end of the term, there were more. But it just the nature of the business.
Right.
They didn't trust us to
They
tell our
want to go with
story.
what's safe. They want to go with the safe things that they know and don't want to
The
take any
genre. I mean,
risks.
it's
And
yeah.
yeah, that's
Uh, you
so
pitch things and you'd have to say this. The question was, would white audience accept it? That was until 20 something.
yeah,
Will white audience accept? Because they were those were the demographics. Those were the analytics said that that's what it was. You know,
right,
it's
yeah.
like QV. What was that? QV. You had to have a QV rating, a Q rating for an
Curating, yeah.
actor. Every actor, yeah. Every actor had to have a Q rating, and if you had a low Q rating, you didn't get a lot of jobs.
Right.
You know, you certainly were going to lead a series.
Well, I'm glad it's much different now and
Oh, it's much different.
I mean
You can have a million hits now and be star of a show. I mean, a million social media hits
yeah,
on it's
yeah.
on TikTok, and they'll give you a show.
Well, so
Won't be a good one, but they'll give it to you.
I read that you have a horror film coming out in August called Stream. What can you tell us about that? And is it
Yes. Be careful what you ask for. They were shooting. I had done a series, a mini series, one of my favorite miniseries years ago called It, Stephen King's It.
That's good, yeah.
And it has become a cult. So they were doing a documentary. Producers came to my studio and were shooting a documentary about the behind the scenes of it, with all the actors and stuff was in John Ritter and on and on and on. And so they said that they were doing that. And so one day, the guy looked at me. I said, "You know, I've never done a horror film." He said, "Well, you know, we produce horror films. We do quite a few of them." I said, "Well, I don't know what I would. I just never done one." He said, "Well, next time I do one, I'm gonna call you." I said, "Well, I'll think about it." So 2 years later, I'm at my office. I get this call. He said, "We're getting ready to do a horror movie. We want you to be in it." I said, "What?" This was during COVID, by the way. This is during COVID. Nothing was happening. COVID. And I'm going, well, I'm at my office trying to create stuff, but nothing's happening. So we're going to shoot it in a little place and we're going to be in a hotel. We got COVID testing 3 times a day. It's going to be, we in cocoon. Nobody can come in. And we want you to do it. So I called my son and I said, what do you think of me doing a horror movie? He said, do you get killed in the first act like all black people? I said, no, actually, I get killed in the end. He said, you gonna be throughout it? He said, yeah. He said, do it. So I go down, don't know what I'm gonna do. And I get in this horror movie called Stream. And it's gory. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah, I won't be watching it. Sorry, but I don't like gory.
yeah, it's not for the squeamish,
No.
but it's coming out soon. I don't know if I'm going to the premiere, but I'm glad I'm glad I did it because it's an experience that I wanted
Sure.
to have.
Yeah.
Let's also be careful what you ask for.
Well,
But
you check that
it's
box
not my
off.
genre.
You check
It's
that
not my
box off now.
genre.
You don't have to.
Yeah, check that box off. You know,
Have you done a Western before?
not as a series, but I've done. I played in a half-hour show one time, and oh, period piece. We Simon and Simon. We used to do sometimes these writers come up with create a fantasy thing.
All right.
And all my life, from a little kid, I always wanted to be a pirate. My favorite pirate was Douglas Fairbanks Jr. with the rag and that bird and all that.
Mhm.
And, you know, like his dream too. We
Sure.
wanted to be, you know, Hopalong Cassidy and all that stuff. So we were doing a Simon and Simon, and it was a period piece, and it was a dream sequence. And I ended up playing a pirate with a bird. We had a bird stuck to my shoulder. It was a fist fight. It was wonderful. And I went, there's what I check off the box.
There
I
you
played
go.
a pirate.
And
I
I
played
also,
an astronaut.
oh, that's nice. Well, you need to do
Mhm.
more like sci-fi or Marvel movies, that kind of thing. That would be.
Nah, at this point now in my career, you know,
Oh,
I
but
have to be the gentleman actor.
well, you don't have to be like the superhero with the big costume. It would be more of the
Yeah.
guy that works for the Avengers kind of guy, like Samuel L.
Oh
Jackson.
yeah.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson. Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah.
kind of
No, I mean, I'm still acting occasionally, and I just did a film, another Christmas movie. It's coming out this year,
oh good.
and I work, and I want to do. I spend a lot of time in Africa. I want to do some work in Africa, bringing back some of the cultural, incredible stories, about the history, the wars in Africa, especially a place like Ethiopia.
Right.
So we're working on a project that we want to do there and a co-production. And there's a character that I would like to play.
Okay, great. That sounds awesome. And I also read that you're doing a one-man show about your life in September in Tulsa. Why
Yes.
Tulsa?
Well, why not Tulsa? I did a documentary about 18 years ago on the bombing of Tulsa, one of the first ones
Oh,
done,
okay.
and fell in love with Tulsa. Went there where I shot it, met a lot of people, and was working on another project. And I like Tulsa because it has incredible history that's so untold, and a lot of it now is coming out. Not just the bombing, but the wealth of
Yeah.
Tulsa. It was Black Wall Street. I mean, the airport was given to the community by a black cattleman
Hmm.
named Cow Tom. I mean, it just has incredible history, Black history, that rarely gets out. So when I decided I was there doing a lecture and telling stories, and someone said, "Man, you should come here and do a one-man show." And that was about a year and a half ago. And I decided, my daughter, my son, and not Daphne, she said, "I heard too much of your stories," but they
I know
said,
how that
"You
is.
need to do this." You're of the last of the generation that was literally this meeting being okay. The last of the generation that was raised and mentored and schooled by the greatest generation that's ever lived, and that is the World War I, World War II generation.
Mhm.
Those were my parents. Those were my mentors, my grandfathers. One generation removed from slavery, and so the lessons that we of that age. I'm older than a baby. Actually a war baby. You don't hear that much talk anymore.
No, you don't.
You the stuff that we had, just the lessons now. Not that we're any smarter than anybody else, are being lost. They're dying out, and just like World War II veterans, we don't
Right.
very few of them left.
Yeah.
So these stories, the kind of life, the context of life, then I find missing for young people who are about to build a new world.
Mhm.
My granddaughter, the Z generation, they got to straighten out all this crap that we created. This madness has to go. It won't last. It will destroy itself. So what is next? Is the world
Yeah.
going to end? No. The young people will create a new world,
Let's hope.
but they need some context. They have no other choice.
Right,
They have what can you do?
right.
Luckily they called the alpha generation after the what's name. Alpha is the beginning. So, by
So
definition, that's their job.
so if it's successful in Tulsa, you think you'll travel with it or do it other places or?
Yeah, I've been asked to bring it to Africa because the Africans are so interested in that part of our history and culture.
Mm.
There are some similarities, very few, but there's some similarities. So I've been asked to do it in Ethiopia, and I may do it in Kenya. But because I find the similarities of our stories, the African diaspora, no matter wherever we have been taken or have traveled on our own accord for a better life, the problems that we face are the same
Hmm.
everywhere
I
because
think
the
that's
color of our skin.
yeah.
And so I find that I use that in a lot of work that I do. And so the stories that I want to tell are not Black stories. They are universal stories. It's about a life that very few white people know anything about because we never appeared to them until, like I said, the 50s and 60s on
Yeah.
television.
That's
And we didn't write who we were.
right.
Amos and Andy was written by two white guys from Richmond who actually performed on radio and voices and did the first movie, the Amos and Andy movie, in blackface.
Yeah.
And actually was going to do the pilot. And then CBS said, maybe this is like 59, 58. No, let's cast some Black folks.
That's
But it
good.
was all written by white people.
Wow.
So I think that's what I want to show, is give you a sense of what life was like in the colored towns of America, those places where people like myself and Morgan Freeman and all these people grew up, in segregation. that formed us, made us either strong or weak, and how we deal with life now and up to this point is a little different than what young people, millennials, and my kids are dealing with. They didn't have to deal with that.
Right.
But there's some lessons in that that can be useful in where we are now.
All right. Well,
So
thank you very much for talking to me today. It's always
thank you.
educational talking to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. What, 20 years ago almost, huh? Well,
No,
good.
no, I
Thank
talked to you
you.
in 2020, so it was only 4 years ago.
Oh, 2020. Oh, okay. Okay.
And actually, I was on another Lifetime panel for another Christmas movie that you did, but I didn't talk to you.
Oh,
I only got one question, so.
this. Okay. Well, thank you. Christmas movies saved my career. I like
Yeah,
doing them now. I
done
feel
a
like I'm
lot of
not
them.
working if I go on Christmas and not have done one.
And what's the one you have coming out this year?
Oh gosh, what is it name? What is the name of it? I can't even think the name of it right now because it came out of nowhere. I did it in like 3 days. I had to fly down to California, come back to the Caribbean, then go to somewhere else, and then go back, and then from there I went to Ethiopia. So it's been a whirlwind
Yeah.
of activity. What's the
Oh,
name of it?
I'll ask Lifetime
Well,
the name of it.
yeah, ask the if it gets. I don't even know if it's been pre-sold,
Oh,
but I did it. It's actually a very interesting role. So I'm glad
okay.
I
Well,
did it.
thank you so much. And hopefully
Thank
talk
you.
to you again.
Thank you,
Yes, yes.
Paul.
Hope you like the movie, by the way. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I
Have
did.
you seen the
I
movie?
watched
Did you?
it yesterday.
Oh, okay,
I
good,
enjoyed
good.
it. I enjoyed
Oh,
it.
and you still want to talk to me? Okay, okay,
Oh, isn't also, I wanted to mention,
good.
you said what people will say on social media afterwards, but they're also showing
Mm.
the HBO documentary about her on Lifetime
Yes, yes,
right after the
yeah,
movie. So that's
yes.
interesting to see.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting evening because it's going to be enlightening. That's for sure.
Yeah. That one I haven't watched yet, the documentary, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.